Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. This is Svetlana's Corner. My name is Svetlana, and this video is hard to make because I know that there's going to be a lot of opinions, a lot of criticism, a lot of people that don't know me, but they're going to assume that what I'm saying isn't true. And I know that's the way it goes, but I actually brought props for proof, just because. Now, this video is about the fact that I got banned from a pharmacy. Why? Oh, I don't know. I know some people will wonder, oh, maybe she wanted extra drugs. No, that's not it. Maybe she did something, doctor shopping, whatever. No, that's not it. Why did I get banned? Because they were billing my insurance, but not providing my medication. And when I wanted to know why, and I wanted that medication because I need it, that's what I got. I got banned. On top of that, because some will say, oh, just go to a different pharmacy. Couldn't do that because to this day, they continue to bill my insurance. So if I go to another pharmacy, I'm paying out of pocket, or it looks like I'm getting double the medication. So this is something I'm still going with. I am still struggling with them over it. No, I'm not looking for money or clout or anything else. I just want to bring awareness to it, and maybe somebody else is having a similar experience. Actually, I know somebody is, because I'm going to list other people that got banned. They're okay with me listing them. So I hope you join me on this video and get more details. Like I said, I brought proof.
I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
So what happened? Well, I did get everything from, and I'm gonna read this from my phone because I figured that, like I said, people are gonna say, oh, she made it up, she did this, she wanted that, maybe she's pharmacy shopping, whatever that may be. No, because I'm one of those people that will bring proof as much as I have. I wish I had more. I didn't think of keeping track of as much because, all right, let's backtrack. This is 2026. It's actually end of January 2026. Now, I have been with Safeway Pharmacy, and this is Canada, so those of you familiar will know where it is, and if you're not, you can Google it. So Safeway Pharmacy, the location's Collingwood. So Collingwood Safeway Pharmacy, it's on the West End. I've been with them since, oh boy, probably the 90s. Now, 2003, yes, we're gonna go back that far. The year 2003 is when I bought my house. This pharmacy was, I'm going to say, not within walking distance, but close distance. It was the closest one to my house. You can drive there within about 5 minutes. So it was close. There was nothing special about them. They were not giving any perks or anything else, whichever. I didn't care about that one. There's some pharmacies that will give you points, that were giving you something for shopping with them. This one didn't. So I was not getting anything out of it other than they were convenient. They were very close to my home. So that was 2003. And I was with them shortly before that. Well, probably even longer before that. I just can't remember. I know that when I moved into my house, I was already getting my medication from them. Not a single time was there a problem. Sometimes there's shortages. I know that that happens. So I've had some medication shortages, you know, and that's okay. Now, what do I mean by shortages? This is how long I've been with the same brands or doctors, whichever. I like loyalty. I know that's a forgotten art in this world, but loyalty matters to me. I don't shop around doctors. I don't shop around pharmacies. I don't shop around even auto or home insurance, and I probably should do that one. But I like loyalty. You know, somebody that knows you, somebody that knows your needs. You're good to me, I'm good to you. That's just always been how I was raised and just who I am. So I've had my doctor since 1997. I came to Canada early 1993, so after a very, very difficult surgery, this was a doctor I was referred to. 1997, that's how long I've known my doctor. He was at my first wedding. I was at his wedding, first, second, and third, okay? So let's just go that way. I like him. He's a great person. He's retiring any moment. He only works like 1 day a week now. But I still feel like there's a loyalty because a doctor that knows you. My ex-husband was going to the same doctor. My mom, my dad, my stepdad, anybody I knew was going to that doctor. And this is somebody that knows you, knows your family. To me, that matters. You know, I mean, they get you, they know you. Now, in regards to medication, here's the thing. I hate medication. I try to go with natural routes as much as I can. I mean, I'm not into the whole, you know, this plant is going to replace diabetic medication. No, not like that. I'm not into the crazy stuff like that. But I don't like being medicated. I have a lot of sensitivities and even severe allergies to medications. So sometimes I could have a medication from one pharmacy but not another because there's different generic brands. So I tend to react to medications. The tiniest dose I tend to react to. I had a double C-section without medication because I was reacting to it. So I don't like to rush into medication. And that's something actually I got flack from because, you know, you see doctors, they always want to give you a pill. And I'm not against that. I mean, if medication works for you, that's great. It's just, I've had such severe reactions, sometimes anaphylactic reactions, that I'm really, really cautious about medication. I don't like to take something unless I absolutely have to. And if I've tried this medication and it works for me, I don't like to change to another one. Even though that might work better, but I'm scared to change. So, just because I don't want to react. That's just who I've always been. So, for better or for worse, that's who I am. Hence, if there's going to be people out here that says I'm doctor shopping, I'm pharmacy shopping, I'm trying to get drugs here, no, it's actually the opposite. That's a little bit of a background about me. And like I said, this pharmacy was the closest one to my home. At that time, they had a library that was next to it. I love books. I love libraries. And again, another reason for me to go there. There's, for those of you who know the area, you know, Collingwood has a little strip mall in there. So there's a library at that time. It's not there anymore. There's a Shoppers Drug Mart. For those of you in the U.S., it's like an Ulta kind of CVS thing. They didn't have a pharmacy, but they do now. Anyway, they have a postal service. I mean, like I said, the location was convenient. I liked the pharmacy. I had no issues with them. So over years, things come up. Like I didn't go in person to get my medication because the way my doctor loves to do things, like he'll do a prescription and he'll put like 1,000 refills on it if possible. I mean, he always put a year. So it's not 1,000, but put like a year of refills. So if something needs to be changed, of course he will change it. But he typically put a year of refills. Now when I bring the prescription in, so let's say next month, for the pharmacy, you just call them and they have the automated service. And you press 1 to automatically refill your medication. So I knew for my insurance, the billing would be on this day. So let's say it's the 15th of each month is when the billing cycle will start. So I know that, on the 14th, it will not be ready to be billed yet. So on the 15th, I pick up the phone. Back then we didn't have smartphones yet, but anyway. I would call and it would let you order your medication and you would get a text message when you can pick it up. Before we had the smartphones, there was no text messages. They would call you to tell you you can pick it up. But after the phones and all that stuff that got updated, there was a text message letting you know your prescription's ready for pickup. If you ran out of refills, what they would say is press 1, for example, for us to fax your doctor. And so my doctor always said, tell them to fax me. And that's what they would do. They would fax the doctor and state that there's no refills, and he would authorize the refills. So I'd get my medication. Like I said, my doctor knows me very well. He knows I don't take medication unless I have to. He will see, okay, I'm trying to order this medication, something I've been on for years and years and years. He's very busy. He didn't want me to come to his office, take up his time for medication that he knows I'm on. He knows I'm good with. So if I need to see him, of course I can. But for these minor things, he said just fax me and yeah, I will approve the refills. No problem. So that's how that pharmacy does things, and that's how my doctor does things. The pharmacy tends to call your doctor or fax your doctor for authorization to give you more refills, and the doctor says yes or no. So for example, if I was trying to get more medication than I should, there's no way my doctor would say yes. I mean, he would not say yes to it. Now, if I need to change my prescription, I would go see him and I would change it. Because I have changed dosages. I've gone up, I've gone down on it. I've changed medications, of course, over time. We're talking about 20 some years. Things change. And I mean, my kids were born over those 20 years. So my kids had pediatricians, they had their own doctors. And again, we use the same pharmacy. So their doctor prescribes something for, let's say, an ear infection. I would take the prescription, same pharmacy, pick it up. Never, ever did I have a problem. I mean, there's a few times I know, especially during the pandemic, where they said there's a shortage of medication. I could go to a different pharmacy and they have it. However, they had a different generic brand and I didn't do so well with it. I didn't have a full reaction to it, like not a full allergic reaction, but enough that it wasn't quite okay. Like it didn't agree with me. It wasn't working as well as it should for me, but that's life. Shortages happened. I didn't switch pharmacies because they were honest with me. They told me we have a shortage. You can go elsewhere or we can give you a different brand. Would you like to try it? Yeah. I did try it. So, like I said, people ask me that now so many times, why don't you go elsewhere? Because I never had problems. We're talking about 20 some years. I have never had a problem with that pharmacy at all. I have never had a problem with any doctor. I've never had a doctor say you should be on less medication. I've had doctors saying you should be on different ones or higher dosage because, doctors always want to give you more. And I'm not a medication fan, like I mentioned. Not that they're pushing me into medications or something, but like I said, I've had the same doctor who understands I don't like taking medication unless I have to. And I don't like changing medication unless I have to. Anyway, so this brings us to this summer actually, so about June. I knew that I would be going to US for different reasons. Some of them were work related, some of them were personal. I'm not going to get into that at this moment because it's not relevant. But I was thinking that I don't have coverage in US and I should plan accordingly. Now, do I need traveler's insurance, medication insurance, and so forth? I'm one of those people that will ask. I asked the pharmacist. And the head pharmacist, I explained that I might be gone more than a month. I don't want to run out of medication. Is there something I should do? Because I didn't know enough about traveler's insurance, and I was there picking up my medication anyway. So I asked her what I can do. And she said, well, simple. What you can do is ask your doctor, so change your prescription to be 3 months supply. So before this, I was getting monthly only. So every month I would call and get my medication. And she said, why don't you just change it to 3 months supply? Something, yeah, that's easy. Except several years ago, I asked whether I could do 3 months supply. There's a reason I asked that. 2013, I got a huge injury. I broke 54 bones. I was in a body cast. I was in a wheelchair. I no longer drive. Now I'm standing in front of you, but it ain't easy. So it's not so easy for me to get to the pharmacy. It's no longer a 5-minute drive. I can't get there. But at that time, they said, it's simple. Just make sure you write a letter authorizing whoever to pick up on your behalf. So I was married. My husband picked up on my behalf every month. And actually, they knew him. But still, when he picked up, they always ask you for your ID. He had to have that note every month, so he would pull it out of his wallet that I gave him authorization to pick up on my behalf. They still asked for his ID. He gave him the ID, and he had to sign that he picked up the medication. The bag was stapled. They didn't show him the medication or anything like that, and he trusted that what they had in the bag was the right stuff, and I mean, they never got it wrong. So they gave him the bottles that were in the bag. He signed for it, after they checked his ID. It was already ran through the insurance, everything else. If there's any money owing, yeah, he would pay it, so he would bring it home. And that's that. So it was very simple, but he had to do it every month. So I remember I asked if we could do it every 3 months, and that time it was the same actual pharmacist. She's been there, I guess, that long. So the same pharmacist, at that time she says, no, you can't, it's only monthly. So this time she said, oh, you could do it for 3 months. That's why I was kind of surprised, but my insurance hasn't changed. I still, go through my disability and stuff, and so my insurance didn't change, but maybe policies changed. She said, no, they haven't. It was always 3 months. You could have done this before. I didn't know that, but hey, I'm thinking, great, all right, I can do that. So my doctor, like I said, he's not as easy to get into these days because, well, he's older and he's getting ready to retire, and he doesn't work every day, but I figure, okay, that's going to be great. So this was end of June, so early July is when I got to see my doctor, and I explained that to him. I said, I want to go for this trip, and because at first he looked at me, it's like, why do you need me to rewrite the prescription for the medication you've been taking for many, many years? Like, what's the big deal? So he was curious, and I said, this is what I was told by the pharmacy. He said, oh, okay, no problem. He rewrote the entire prescription, put everything I take 3-month supply. No problem. You think, no problem. All right, so when that time comes for me to get my medication, this time I didn't renew it over the phone because, well, it would be a 1-month supply. So I brought the new prescription to Safeway Pharmacy, to Conwood Safeway Pharmacy. And when I picked it up, it was a 3-month supply. Great. Awesome. Or so I thought. So this time when I brought the prescription, the 3-month supply, just like they asked me, I thought, okay, great, this is going to be all good. I bring that in and they look at it and say, oh, this is the same stuff you're taking. So why are you bringing a new prescription? And I said, oh, because I was told that I can do a 3-month supply. And the pharmacist says, well, you can, but not on all of them. Some of them are monthly. So think, okay, then why did you tell me all of them? Because the ones that she mentioned are monthly, are the ones that I do need more than the others. I wouldn't have done the whole trip to my doctor and redo the prescription over the ones that are allowed to be 3-month supply. So that was kind of, not odd, it's just, I feel like I took that step. I didn't need to take that step. Like I said, as a handicapped person, it's hard for me to get to places like that, so I need to make sure somebody can give me a ride. My husband is now my ex-husband. We are in good terms. He still makes sure to pick up my medication and all that, but I mean, he had to take time off work to get me to see my doctor. Now he's taking time off work to bring me to the pharmacy. So, I didn't need to redo my prescription if the one I mentioned I need the most is only on the month supply. So it was I was disappointed. And she saw I was disappointed. But I said, okay, well, it is what it is. That's life. Like I said, I'm not a person to sit and argue with you. If you're going to tell me those are the policy, those are the rules, even though you told me different before, well, those are the rules, I'm going to go with it. I thought, okay, and that's why I mentioned, and I guess I redid my prescription for nothing. And she said, well, that's not really true. What you can do is get the same thing. You can just call your prescription in, because it's only one that you really need. There's several things I take, but there's one, and no, it's not anything crazy. It's my migraine medication. I have hugely, severely insane migraines, and they're mostly barometric migraines. So weather changes, I'm in pain, but so my migraine medication is the one I need the most. And so she said, for your migraine stuff, what you can do is just call us the way you usually do. Order your medication by phone. We will have it ready, and you can have somebody that picks it up and mails it to you. And I thought, okay, am I allowed to have it mailed? Because, I didn't know if that's allowed or not. I've never tried that. And she said, as long as it's packaged well, there's a label on it. And we'll make sure, there's a label, clear label on it. It's not like you're sending some drugs over distance or whatever. There's a clear label. Everything else, yes, that is legally fine. So I did call Customs. I did call Canada Post. I did call United States Postal Service. They all said the same thing, that, yeah, this is a small box. There's only 10 pills in there. It's clearly labeled. It's in a well-packaged bubble envelope, or any envelope that's well sealed. It's fine. And it's not like I'm going to be doing it for years. It's only for a short time. It's legally fine. Okay, so what is the issue? Let's get to the issue. So my medication looks like this. Okay? Now, It's got the pharmacy address at the top. Right here, there's a number, the code for the medication. That's when you call them and you press the code, and that's for that medication to order it. It has my name on it. This is the box that it comes in. It is 10 pills. This is rizatriptan, by the way. For anybody that's going to say, I'm trying to score some pain reducing drugs, no, it's rizatriptan. What else do I take? Like I said, I'm giving you show and tell because I don't think I have anything to hide. The other one I do take, and that's clonazepam. This is for panic attacks. Actually, I do have some heart issues, but this is the medication that works for it. So I'm not going through my medical history. Let's just say it's for panic attacks. Anyway, this one, they did allow the 3-month supply. So like I said, I got 3 months supply. I didn't need any more. I still have enough. And like I said, you can see how much I have. I'm not going to order medication until I've used it up. We come to November. That's when the issue started. That's when I needed medication. So I had my medication, no problem. Now, my ex-husband, myself, and our daughter were on this trip. My son, who is an adult, was picking up my medication for me at this point in time. Yes, he's an adult, so he's allowed to. I did do the same thing. I wrote a letter authorizing my son to pick it up. No issues. They would do the same thing. Put the medication in the bag, staple the bag. When he comes up, they ask him for that note. They ask him for ID, and then he had to sign. And then he'd bring me my medication. We come to November, and I'm gonna do this one. As you can see, rizatriptan. Their box is meant for 6, maybe, I don't know, but it's a small box. It's rizatriptan, 10 milligrams, and as you can see, it says 10 tablets. That's my prescriptions for 10 tablets. So for the box, you can see the writing. They put 6 in there, they crossed it over, and because it's supposed to be 10. I don't know if that's just how their boxes are. Maybe their box is meant for 6. So the pharmacist, she crossed over the 6 and it was 10. So now, like I said, my medication cycle or my billing cycle for my insurance started around 14th, 15th of the month. So that's when I always ordered them, because they would bill my insurance at that time. Because any earlier, my insurance wouldn't cover it yet. So November 16th is when I called and I ordered my migraine medication. Exactly that. Now, I did tell my son that he would be picking up my medication because I got a text message on November 18th that my medication's ready. So I asked him, can you please pick up my medication? So November 18th, he sends me a text message saying, hi Mom, I picked up your medication and I'm mailing it to you. This is the envelope, by the way. This is exactly the envelope right here. And it said 2 medications. So he's mailing me 2. Now my migraine, that's 1 box. Thinking, which 2? But of course, this is coming long distance. It took a couple of weeks for me to get it. So the 2 medication I got were these 2. That's the clonazepam. That's my panic attack medication. So why am I not happy? Because I called specifically, because I know since I'm long distance, I want to make sure I get this right. I called specifically and I said, I have enough of these. I don't need these. So I don't want my son to be paying to mail them. They're pretty heavy. This is 3 months supply. I don't need 3 months supply. I don't need them. So can you please hold these? Hold on ordering these until I need them. Right now I have enough, but what I do need is my migraine stuff. And I actually explained why. Because where I was in US, it was on the East Coast, and I live on the West Coast of Canada. What I've found is my migraines were insanely worse. The air pressure, the elevation, something to do with that. Normally, like I said, I take 10 in a month of my migraine stuff. But I felt like I had migraines daily. So 10 for me was more than I needed. But in this time on the East Coast there, 10 was barely getting me through the month. I felt like my migraines were beyond painful, like beyond any I've ever had in my entire life. They were much more severe, and it wasn't every, couple of days, it was all the time. So those 10, I did stretch through the month, but it was hard. It was actually really hard. So when I talked to the pharmacist, I explained it to her. I said, I have enough clonazepam. I don't need those. I don't need my son to send it to me because it's going to cost them money. Because if I look at that envelope, even though the medication's covered by my insurance, this is $50.19. $50 to send me those two. I didn't want him to spend the money. Not when it's not needed. So I said, can you please hold my clonazepam? I don't need it. I don't want him to spend the money. I just need my migraine medication. That's it. And she said, of course, we will hold your clonazepam. We will do your rizatriptan, your migraine stuff. That's the only one. So when he comes to pick it up on the 18th of November, that's all that's going to be there for him. Now, he sent me a text message, Mom, I picked up your medication, and I mailed it. That was November 18th. When I got it, obviously I was surprised because there was no migraine stuff. There was only the clonazepam. Hence the envelope said 2 medications. So when I called him and I said, why did it say 2? He said, well, I got 2, and he thought that's what I wanted. Because that's my son, and he's 20. He figured it was all stapled, because I told him I did make arrangements with the pharmacy. It's all good. He wasn't going to question, what does Mom need? Mom's 46. Mom can, take care of her own medical needs, right? So he figured the pharmacy put what's supposed to be in there. So curiosity, I asked him, I said, did they ask you for the note for permission? He said, no. I didn't even have to give them my ID, so they probably just remembered me. Okay, all good. So for the first time ever in 20-some years, nobody was asked for ID, nobody was asked to sign it, they just gave them the envelope, and that's it. But I got that, but I didn't have my migraine stuff. So I was not happy with it. Just because I was feeling horrible. Now, I called the pharmacy. I spoke to someone, they didn't identify who it was, and they mentioned that, my son picked up my medication, he got the clonazepam, but I asked to put that on hold. I didn't get my migraine stuff though. Could I find out why? To this day, I still don't have an answer. Nobody ever called me back at all. I called a couple of times, kept leaving the same message. I couldn't get a call back. Now, I did check. The insurance was billed for all of my medication. So for the clonazepam and for my migraine stuff. It was billed for all of them. But I didn't get the migraine stuff. So now we get to December. Now, it's end of fall. The weather's changing, so my migraines are weather related. So my migraines are worse than ever. And I'm trying to stretch my migraine stuff. I didn't get mad at the pharmacy, and I was disappointed. I was more disappointed that they're not answering. And I kept trying to find an answer and couldn't get a call returned. But I did try to stretch it through. December 6th, I did call them, and this is why I called them. I was staying in the hotel, and this is called extended stay hotel. Like if you're staying somewhere longer, they give you a discount. It has a kitchen, everything else. So, but they do clean your room. They don't do it every day. They do it every couple of weeks. This was every 2 weeks, I think. Anyway, so the person that was cleaning the room, she swept I still had some of my migraine stuff left, but she was sweeping the stuff off. You're not in the room, of course. They ask you to leave. When I came back, I noticed my box of my rizatriptan was gone. And I saw that it was in the garbage. Now these are what's called ODT. Now I can't remember what it stands for, but it means they dissolve. I can't swallow medication. I have a hard time swallowing medication. So these are ones that you dissolve. That's what it says on them. Open with dry hands, dissolve on tongue. So as soon as they, once they're in the garbage with other stuff, they would dissolve. So yeah, they were just a pile of powder. Anyway, so now not only did I not have medication for that month, but anything I had left over dissolved, and I was crushed. So this was December 6th. I'm not mad at the staff. I mean, accidents happen. So I called the pharmacy and I thought, I'm going to ask a question. I said, here's the deal. I didn't get my medication in November. I don't know what happened, but I'm trying to stretch it out. However, I did have hotel room cleaning, and whatever I had left in there, it was probably like one or two, it got cleaned by the staff and it got thrown out. Is there anything I can do? Because I was thinking of choices. I did contact different places while I was out there. I was told that I can go to urgent care, like hospital urgent care. So I did call them and say, okay, if I do that, what would happen? They said, well, normally we might be able to give you one, but at the same time, this is migraine medication. So if this was some kind of diabetic medication, we can give it to you. But migraine stuff is a little bit more specific. So we don't transfer country to country prescriptions. So we'd have to send you to a neurologist. That referral could take a few months. So urgent care visit itself would be about $100 to $120. Then I'd be waiting, like they said, about 3 months. This is December, coming into holidays. So you'd be waiting till next year to see a neurologist. You'd go through all the tests and all that stuff. And I mean, that would cost money. He said it doesn't really make sense. So the medication itself, it was actually pretty cheap. I think he said it was like $20. But it's the tests and stuff like that. Maybe you can see if your pharmacy in Canada can send you something extra. At that time, they actually had a free clinic set up. There's a lot of people that don't have insurance in US, and actually, curiosity, we did go and visit them. They also had kids activities too, which my daughter wanted to go. So they actually had doctors there, and I did talk to a doctor, and he, they do free checkups and stuff. So he actually, he took my blood pressure, and it was extremely high. My blood pressure was, I think it was 140 or 160 over something. It was really high for me. Now let me reiterate that, because my entire life I've had really low blood pressure. So when he said you have high blood pressure, I was surprised. And he actually gave me a prescription there for blood pressure. This was only for 30 days. See, I still have most of them. Like I said, I don't like taking medication. And I did talk to him about that one. Because I said I've never had high blood pressure in my entire life. I do have a family history of diabetes, high blood pressure, heart attacks and stuff, but I've never had that. And he said, do you have, like, he went through a history of my medication, and he said, oh, you have migraines. I said, yes, I have really bad migraines. And I mentioned that I haven't taken my migraine stuff in a while, and like, I gave him the details why, and he said that could be it. If you have really bad migraines, it's putting pressure. So that's why your blood pressure is going up. But at that point, like he said, it is dangerously high. You can have a heart attack or a stroke. You can't just miss your migraine stuff. You need, okay, 10 is the only thing you're getting. You need more. But if that's your prescription, that's your prescription. But he did give me, anyway, so that was in November. They did help me because I was so dizzy. I was so in so much pain. And like I said, now I understand that was the lack of my migraine stuff was putting further issues. It was giving me high blood pressure. Like I said, I never thought of that because in my entire life, I've never had high blood pressure. And you can tell I didn't even take the full 30 pills in there. Like, I don't like medication, but I was taking it until I thought I could get my migraine stuff. And that doctor was really nice. Like I said, obviously I don't have issues with doctors. No doctor ever have accused me or even suggested that I go doctor shopping, pharmacy shopping, or I'm looking for pills. No. Actually, like I said, I told this one I don't like new medications, and he said, well, too bad. Like, you're going to have a stroke kind of thing. So anyway, he prescribed it to me, and I took a couple. It did help. Not enough, but like I could tell, okay, now I understand why I'm not feeling good. And we're getting into that holiday season where I'm trying to get a lot of work stuff done and holiday stuff done, and I don't have time to just not feel good. Let me get back to what I was saying about the pharmacy. So December 6th is when the cleaning staff swept my medication off. So when I called the pharmacy, I explained it, and I said I did see a doctor out here, and I gave the name, and I said he gave me this medication because he said it's affecting my blood pressure. And the pharmacist said, oh yeah, that could be possible. Okay. And I said, I understand that I can't order my next month until the 15th. Is there anything I can do? Now, I'm just asking for advice. She could say, no, there's nothing we can do. And that's fine. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm asking for, you are a person of authority. You're a person of authority on that subject. I'm not. So I explained it to her, and I said, I did discuss that, going to urgent care and what I was told and my experience with that doctor and everything else. And so I have about 10 more days until I can order my next month medication. Is there something I can do to get it earlier? Maybe if I'm getting 10 tablets, for example, maybe I can get 3 now and 7 later. Even if I'm paying out of pocket, okay, I'll pay for those 3. I'm just asking. I mean, she could say, no, there's nothing we can do. You have to wait for that time, and that's that. She didn't say that. She said, oh, of course. What we can do is we can send you your full medication, so 10 tablets, and we will bill the insurance company on the 15th. So I'm thinking, really? She goes, yeah, it's that simple. No problem. You've never had any issues with medication, so yeah, we can do that. Okay, now I'm happy. I'm happy. So she said, your son can pick up tonight, like same day. So this is December 6th. Now, he picks it up, and this is December 16th. You can look at this envelope. 2 medications. Now, 2 medications. Which ones did I get? I got 1 clonazepam, which I didn't want. Like I said, I was looking at just my migraine stuff. I got 1 clonazepam, my migraine stuff. If you look at that, the label clearly says December 15th, so they did bill it for December 15th, but it's 6 tablets. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get 6, and then I'm going to get 4 in a couple of days. All good. So I did get 6. On December 9th, I get a text message that your medication is ready for pickup. So I'm thinking that's my other 4. My son went there. He went to the pharmacy on December 9th. There was nothing there. So I don't get it. So when I called them, I said, I have a text message that says there's medication to pick up. And she said, no, there's nothing, it must have been an error. Okay, no problem. And I said, the box I got, it had 6 in there. Does that mean I'm getting 4 more in a couple of days? And she said, no, this is all you're getting. So I said, okay, hold on a second. That doesn't make sense. I normally, you bill my insurance for 10. If I got 6, I should get 4 more. I got hung up on it. All right. So December 15th, I called them. And I said, okay, here's, my name, whichever. I said, I received 6 of my migraine stuff, and can I order the other 4 now? As I was told I can do. And I was told, no, we gave you all the migraine stuff. And I said, no, you gave me 6. And the box even says 6. But there's still the other 4. And she says, well, I don't know why you got 6, but we're not giving you the other 4. I said, but you billed my insurance company for 10. And she said, okay, well, let me look into it. I never got an answer. Now, I called back next day, and I said, again, hi, my name is so-and-so. I spoke to somebody yesterday. I didn't get a call back. Maybe that person was busy. Can you let me know what's going on with this one? And she said, yeah, your son picked up the other 4 on December 9th. My son never picked them up. I know that because he was working December 9th. He would have told me he picked them up December 9th, and and I said, are you sure? She said, yeah, that's what it says on our computer, that, you called December 9th. Oh, sorry. She said, it says on our computer that you called December 5th to get 6 and December 9th to get the other 4. And now I'm thinking, okay, hold on a second. How can I call December 5th when I called December 6th? And then I got hung up on. So I thought I got disconnected. I called back. And I got a guy. This was a male. And so I explained the situation again. And he said, you called December 5 to order full 10 medication, which we gave you. Because you said that the housekeeping staff, threw it out by accident. And I said, how can I call December 5th about it when it happened December 6th? Like, I didn't mentally know that it would happen. It just doesn't sound right. So I called December 5th to say that a staff is going to throw away my medication. I have my phone list. it shows me I called at noon, my time. It was noon, December 6th. He goes, yes, but you called December 5th, and December 6th is when your medication got destroyed. So again, if my medication got thrown out December 6th, how could I call December 5th the day before? I wouldn't know that would happen. It didn't make sense. And he kept saying, but that's what you did. You called us December 5th to order them because December 6th is when your medication got thrown out. So I'm saying, like, if you listen to it, it doesn't logically make sense. But okay, I said, but I received 6, not 10. And he said, well, we did issue all of them. And you picked up all of them on December 9th. I said, no, my son picked them up December 6th, same day. He didn't pick up anything December 9th. So if you're saying, okay, I called December 5th, not December 6th, okay, let's leave that alone. If I called December 5th and he picked up my medication on December 6th, he wouldn't pick it up twice, like December 9th, because there's no way my insurance would cover it twice in 1 month. And you wouldn't dispense it twice in 1 month. And he said, okay, yeah, that sounds weird, but I don't really know what I could tell you. I said, well, I would like to know when I receive the other 4 because I need them. And he goes, yeah, okay. Like he started to kind of get cranky. Like, you got them. I said, no, I got 6. I didn't get full 10, but I'm looking at billing and you billed all 10 and I do need them. And I could tell he was starting to lose patience, so I said, I'm just trying to understand it. It doesn't make sense logically. So he said, well, I'll call you back then. I said, well, not to say it the wrong way, I'm sorry, but not to say it the wrong way, but I've called several times, nobody calls me back. So I just have a feeling you're not going to call me back. I know this sounds maybe cranky now on my behalf, but when you can tell that somebody's just telling you stuff they're not going to follow through with, just the way he said, yeah, I'll call you back. I just said, I just don't think you're going to call me back. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. So, and he said, yes, I'm going to call you back. How can I convince you I'm going to call you back? I said, well, how about this? Can you let me know when you're going to call me back? So if you don't call me by that time, then I know you didn't call me and then I will call back. This way I'm not calling you and bothering you and all that kind of stuff. He said, yeah, I'll call you at 2 p.m. All right. Now, fair enough. Like I said, I had a feeling he's not going to do it, but now he gave me a definite time. So I know, okay, if by 2 o'clock he's not going to call me, okay, then I can call. 2 o'clock goes by, he didn't call me. So 4 p.m. is when I called. And I get Kathy, who is the head pharmacist, and she asked what she could do to help me, and I explained all that. She said, oh yeah, I know, I was here, I heard the whole conversation. I said, well, then you know that he said he was going to call me back. He didn't. And she said, he wasn't going to call you back because you were so pushy about him calling you. I said, well, yeah, I want to know that he's going to call me back, and I felt like he wasn't going to. She said, well, you were so pushy that he didn't call you back. I said, okay, I'm sorry if I'm being pushy, but I didn't get the feeling that he was going to call me back. And I've been calling for several days and nobody calls me back. They always say, yeah, we'll call you back. Let me look it up, let me pull up the computer, call you back, and I never get the call. So yeah, I haven't had any of my calls returned. So I was starting to feel like nobody's calling me back. So this is where things went bad. At that point, she said, well, I don't know what you want us to do. We did what you wanted. You called on the 5th that you wanted your medication, and on the 9th, you picked it up. I said, I didn't call on the 5th. Because if the situation happened on the 6th, how could I have known about it the day before? And she said, well, I don't care, but that's how it happened. I said, but if you think logically, it didn't happen that way. She said, well, you still picked up your stuff at December 9th. I said, no, actually, nobody picked it up December 9th. I have the envelopes that show when they were picked up and when they were mailed to me and what I received. And she said, well, your son came on December 9th. And I said, no, he didn't, but you have cameras, Can you double check he was there? Because he didn't sign anything. He didn't have to give up his ID. And she said, that doesn't matter. And I said, okay, for argument's sake, how many would he have picked up? And she said, you got all 6. I said, okay. So now, as you can see, this is my issue. I'm prescribed 10, not 6. She said, well, no, we only gave you 6. That's all you're going to get. I said, but I'm prescribed 10 and you're billing me for 10. Like you're billing for 10. So, like I said, I get it. I'm frustrated here. They think it's annoying, like I'm calling about it, but they admit that it's 6. The box says 6. I'm prescribed 10, so how am I in the wrong here? And that's when she says, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Let me talk to someone else. I said, excuse me? She said, do you have somebody more educated in the room? Because I mentioned I'm in a hotel room at this moment, and I was frustrated. Like I said, I wasn't feeling good whatsoever. But she said, do you have somebody more educated in the room? I said, excuse me? She said, well, clearly you're not. So I need to talk to someone that's educated. Now, I have 2 university degrees. Not the point of this conversation, but that is such a wrong thing to say. And I said, this is my medical stuff. Why do you need to talk to someone else? And my ex-husband was actually with me at that time because I was telling him I was frustrated. He knew about this ordeal and all that because he was trying to figure out how to resolve it with me, like maybe that, what can be done. And he was actually there. Well, I'll talk to him. And here's my thinking, like, this is my medical stuff. And I told her, this is my ex-husband. I shouldn't be giving you somebody else to talk to. That's violation of medical privacy laws and everything else. And she said, well, I'd like to talk to him or nothing. Now, to me, that's not legal. You tell me that you don't want to talk to me because you want somebody more educated. I'm not saying this is a put down. My ex-husband doesn't even have a high school diploma. I have 2 university degrees. Like I said, this is not a put down. I'm just saying she's assuming I'm not educated. Not that it matters, but that was something that she mentions, that she'd rather talk to him. Now, I didn't say anything about it because it's not the point. I just said, I don't want somebody else talking about my medical stuff when you're talking to me about my medical stuff. And she said, well, I want to talk to him. So like I said, she's insisting to talk to him because she doesn't think I'm educated enough. And she wants to talk to him about my medical needs. This is not legal. At least as far as I understand, this is not legal. However, I was desperate enough to get the rest of my medication. I'm not saying I just want drugs, whatever. This is the stuff that's been billed for that I should get. So I just wanted the stuff that was already billed to the insurance company that should be given to me. So I'm thinking, you know what? He knows all my medical needs. It's not a big deal. Like, I don't have anything to hide. To me, it was just a principle, but I thought, you know what? Okay, fine. So he was on the phone. I was on speakerphone anyway. So he gets on the phone and he said, look, I know which days because we got the envelopes. And she received this, this, and this. Like he's repeating what has occurred. And she said, well, tell your ex-wife she's banned from our pharmacy. And he kind of goes, he stops, and I stop, like we look at each other. He says, what do you mean banned? And she said, well, you call nonstop. It is aggravating to our staff, something like that. She says it's aggravating to their staff, or it's taking time for their staff. And he was saying, like, but she's trying to get answers about her medication, and you're supposed to give her that. You haven't. You billed for it. Well, anyway, she hung up on him too. Now it's evening, so they no longer answer. And anyway, I did try to call, and I was told repeatedly, I am banned from the pharmacy. I cannot order from them. Now, I'm in a different country, so it's not like I can call another pharmacy. And here's why. I did contact another pharmacy. So Shoppers Drug Mart, like I mentioned, is kind of like an Ulta or whatever here. They do have makeup, but they have household stuff, but this one has a pharmacy on there. So I called them, I explained the situation, and they said, oh, if you have your prescription, just fax it to us, mail it to us, drop it off to us. We're happy to get you the medication. And he said, we actually even deliver. So, because I mentioned I'm handicapped, I know you're close to that area, so it's, it would be easier for me to pick up. And he said, we actually deliver something awesome. But he says, but we do need your prescription. You have to go to your doctor and get your prescription. So this is December, end of December. My doctor's gone for the holidays. I'm stuck. So I did try to call Safely Pharmacy. I know, like I said, I admit I called them a lot, but I'm trying to resolve this. So I called them and I said, okay, you banned me. Can you transfer my prescription to this pharmacy? And she says, no, I'm not doing that. Click. So now I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what to do. And I tried. I'm going to spend the next few days trying to figure out what I can do, but I called several pharmacies. They all say they need either the prescription to be transferred, which they all tried. They called Collingwood Safeway Pharmacy, and they said the pharmacist is refusing to transfer the prescription, so they can't do that. They can't see my label in person, because I'm in a different country. I can't call my doctor because he's away on holidays now. This is coming to Christmas holidays. So I was planning to stay for at least another month, but we had to cut our trip short because I really wasn't feeling good. My blood pressure was going up higher and higher, and I thought for sure I was going to have a stroke. And I know it sounds like a pity party, but yeah, I was worried about it. I really didn't feel good. So I tried. So for a couple more days, I tried. I couldn't get anywhere. So finally I said, I think I need to go back to Edmonton. So we did. We cut everything short completely. Like suddenly everything was stopped. Work was stopped. Personal stuff that we had planned was stopped. And in end of December, winter storm, we traveled all the way back. Cost me a lot of money because we didn't prepare for it. It was quickly pack things up and go. The storm, gas is more expensive, and some of the gas stations aren't even open. We were stuck behind a blizzard in Ohio for New Year's Eve. It was really scary, actually, because that one was on the news. A lot of cars got wiped out on this. So it was a very difficult trip. but I made that. All right, so it brings me to now. Now my doctor's still not back from vacation. However, I'm just gonna say that. So my doctor's still not back. I've tried some walk-in clinics. They're not taking patients. But I did talk to the pharmacy and I said I have the labels on all my medication. I talked to the pharmacist at Shopper Drug Mart and he said, okay, we can get you your medication if the pharmacist agrees to transfer it. So I called. She said I was banned. She wouldn't talk to me. So this pharmacist called and said she refused to transfer the medication. However, he said we can't get it for you anyway because she already billed your insurance. So I'm holding the box. It says January 13th, my migraine medication, 6 tablets were billed to my insurance. I did get the box. It's an empty box. I did get the empty box. I was able to do that. Now how? I actually called them. And it wasn't Kathy. It was somebody else. It was probably somebody new or just filling in. And I said, did I have medication there or something? Because my insurance was billed. And they looked and said, yeah, your medication was billed. You can come pick it up. So now my ex-husband comes to pick it up thinking, okay, maybe whatever they're saying about the ban, I don't know. We're giving them benefit of the doubt here. So he went to pick it up and there's nothing. She gave him the box, but she said, no, we don't have the medication. There's nothing. Empty box. So I call her. Like I said, I know. I've been annoying. I call her that day. This is January 13th. And I said, my ex-husband came there. He got an empty box. And she said, yeah, you've been banned. I said, yes, I was going to get my medication elsewhere. You're refusing to transfer the prescription, but you billed for it. And she said, well, but your ex-husband was here. I said, yeah, but he didn't get the medication. He got the empty box. And she said, yeah, that's what he said he wanted, an empty box. He wouldn't say he wants an empty box. And he's standing right there because he just got in and said all that I got from whoever was working there is the empty box. And I said, who was it? And he said, the name tag said Kathy. Collingwood Safeway Pharmacy, Kathy. He said, all she gave me was an empty box. And said, that's it, that's all I have for you. So I said, he's standing right here. You can hear him on the speakerphone. I put my phone on speaker. And she said, well, since he says it like that, he's now banned too. Now, my ex-husband is diabetic. He has really crazy diabetes. He has very high blood pressure. So he has, oh gosh, I think like 10 different medications for, diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, all that kind of stuff. He has a lot of medications that he got through Safeway. And he's standing there going, what? Now I'm banned too? He goes, how am I supposed to get that medication? And, and she said, oh, and for that, your son is banned. By the way, my son has no medication there. He's not on any medication at all. But basically, she said, your entire family is banned. So my son, my daughter, who is a child who doesn't have medication there either, my ex-husband, and I are banned. This is Collingwood Safeway Pharmacy. So we are now banned. So January, that's this month, I didn't get any of my medication. She did bill for it, but I didn't receive it, except for the empty box. I didn't receive, my panic attack medication, my clonazepam, I didn't receive that either. I didn't order it, but it was all billed. So they billed for all of my medication this month, I received none of it. They're refusing to transfer my prescription, and they're refusing to give me the medication. So this is where I am. Now I know it's the end of January. My doctor should be back soon, and I am going to see him. He will write the prescription. I already talked to his secretary. She said, I explained it. She said, yeah, for sure, he'll do the prescription. No problem. We'll fax it to a pharmacy of your choice. And I mentioned I'd like to go with Shoppers because they deliver. So no issues. So he is going to do it. She already talked to him. As soon as he's back in the office, he's going to fax the medication to a different pharmacy. Easy enough. So I guess this comes to the end of this whole drama. So my point here is I'm not asking for something that I'm not entitled to have. These are medications that I am prescribed by my doctor. These are medications that you billed for. You did bill the insurance for it. Now, I did try to call the insurance. They say they don't do anything. Like whoever bills them, they just go through that. They say you have to go through the pharmacy and the doctor. So basically, it's not that I'm trying to get some kind of medication, that I'm shopping for extra meds, or nobody has ever in my entire life ever said anything about me wanting medication. Actually, the opposite. No doctor has ever had an issue with what I take. These have been prescribed by my doctor. The pharmacist here has decided to give me less, and when I asked why, wouldn't give me an answer. And then a month after, billed for all my medication and didn't give me any. Does that not sound like fraud? Like I said, I'm not asking for anything that you didn't bill for. You got paid to dispense this medication, but you're not giving it to me. So where's the medication? You got paid for it. And if you don't like me, that's okay. I can go to a different pharmacy. But number one, I don't have the prescription. And yes, I know I was waiting for my doctor. She could have just transferred my prescription and not get it elsewhere. But she billed the insurance. So now even if I did have a prescription, I can't get it covered. I have to pay out of pocket if they let me. Because now it looks like I'm double dipping. It looks like I'm getting twice the amount of medication. I might not get that because the next pharmacy is going to say, no, you already got this month, which is not true. They billed for this month, but they didn't give it to me for this month. And now they're still not refusing to stop billing. We're already coming to February. Not only that, I mean, my ex-husband has a lot of medications, like I mentioned. They're billing for all of that. Now, he has a good supply of metformin and all that kind of stuff. He's got because his was on a 3-month supply, so he's got 3-month supply. He says he's good, and he's going to talk to his doctor to transfer his prescription elsewhere as well. But they banned him. So they banned him, but again, they're billing for all the medications he needs as well without providing it. They banned my kids who were not even getting medication there, who had no issues there. Like I said, I hesitated to talk about it because I know somebody said people are going to accuse you of trying to doctor shop or get some kind of, Oxy or Percocets or whatever, pain meds. That's why I brought everything. I got the labels. I got the actual packages. I'm not trying to get more medication. I'm trying to get what was prescribed to me. And I was trying to get an answer. Now, yeah, I've had a couple of people that I talked to, and one of them said, well, I don't know the story, but they don't ban people unless maybe you're abusing medication. Maybe you are so rude to the staff, but even then they don't ban people, they just transfer prescription elsewhere. So I was not abusing medication, clearly. I was not having enough. I'm not suing them or anything like that. I don't even know if you can sue pharmacy because I'm not paying for them. My insurance is. So you're actually not defrauding me, you're defrauding insurance companies. You're defrauding Alberta Blue Cross. So I don't know if you can sue them for pain and suffering, whichever. I'm not doing that. I'm simply saying this is not okay. What you're doing is fraud. Now, did I bother the staff? Yes, I did. After, December 16th? Because I was trying to get an answer. I've been cooperating with you. I ask you for that question, like, okay, I got this amount. When do I get the rest? And if you don't tell me that, and if you just don't answer the phone or never call me back, and I call you back, I don't think that's me bothering the staff. I'm just trying to get my question answered. And now when I'm trying to say, okay, you just billed for my medication, but I didn't get it. And you're saying, yeah, you can't get it because you're banned. Well, then why are you billing for it? So, yeah, I'm bothering the staff. She didn't say I was rude. She said I was bothering them a lot. Okay, so I'll go elsewhere. Stop billing then. Stop taking the money so I can get them elsewhere. Now, I am not proficient in medical negligence laws, but don't you have to give all the medication to the patient? And if the doctor prescribes that amount of medication, you should dispense that to them, correct? That's my understanding. I also read online, and I may be wrong on this, but it says that a pharmacy cannot ban you without transferring your prescription elsewhere. Somebody can correct me, but that's what I read, and I've asked to get my prescription transferred. They're refusing to do so. So you ban me, but you won't transfer prescriptions. Alberta is short on doctors. Getting in to see a doctor is beyond difficult. I know for my ex-husband, there's probably over 3 months waiting list to get in to see a doctor. And he's got a lot of prescriptions. You're gonna ban somebody with severe heart, cholesterol, blood pressure, and diabetic needs? That doesn't make sense to me. So for this purpose, like I said, I was worried that when I put my life out here online, I'm going to be accused of that. Trying to get medication or doing something shady. I don't think what I'm doing is anything shady. All I'm asking for is accountability. If I'm doing something wrong, tell me what I'm doing wrong. If I'm bothering the staff, I will admit to that. I was bothering the staff. I was calling because I wanted an answer, and nobody would call me back. And I had to stop everything, cut my trip short to come here so I could get those answers or get this resolved so I can get my medical needs met. Now, to anybody that says, oh, you should have prepared for this, I did. I asked several months before my trip, what is the best idea? Can I get this through travel insurance? What should I do? And this was the advice I got. The advice I got from my doctor and from that same pharmacist saying do this and it would be just fine. Now for the most obvious question, why was I with this pharmacy for so long? Like I said, I had no issues for over 20 some years. Never an issue, really. I mean, things come up, but I think I'm pretty flexible and logical person. If you tell me logically this is what it is, okay. The issue didn't come up until November when you sent me the wrong medication. And still, my son paid $50 to send it to me. I still said, okay, that's not the one that I was supposed to get. I said it in a nice way because I was trying to resolve it. There was no argument there. I never even got, oh, sorry, we got the wrong one or whichever. So what I believe is Collingwood Pharmacy is acting in a fraudulent, unprofessional manner. And I think that maybe I'm not the only one they're doing it to. Like I said, I know they just did it to my ex-husband. I know they just banned my kids that are not even getting medication there. So this is my issue with them. Like I said, if I'm doing something wrong, I'll be the first one to apologize for it. And I'm trying to figure out what did I do wrong? Because in my opinion, what they're doing is not legal. But again, I'm not a law professional. I don't know the laws on pharmacies and stuff like that. I did find a link for College of Pharmacies in Alberta. I think that's what it was. I did write all this out with dates and pictures to them. They did say, okay, thank you, we will look into that. That was early in January. Like I said, I didn't give them the update that they're still billing because that didn't come up yet. I mean, that was early January. So I'm hoping that I do hear back from them and I can mention they're still continuing to bill even though I'm not getting medication. But I'm not getting a response from the college either. So I don't know if there's any other avenues out there. I've never been in this position before. Will I get it solved? Of course I will. Everything gets solved in the world. It will get solved. It's just, to me, this is insane. So, anyway, I don't know how clear it is to see through the camera, but I will put those labels on there because, yes, I know it's my medical information, my name, all that kind of stuff. I don't feel like I have anything to hide. There's no medication in there that's, and actually I shouldn't feel any sort of way about what I take. It's my doctor's responsibility to stop me from medication I shouldn't be taking. So if I was taking something I shouldn't be, that's up to my doctor. I was just gonna say maybe I'm taking something for, I don't know, mood swings, personality disorders. Okay, well that's still between me and my doctor. But obviously what I'm taking has been approved by my doctor and what I've taken for over 20 years. That's just what it is. And if my doctor has no issues with my medical needs, then I don't think it's up to people on the internet to diagnose me. But like I said, I don't have anything to hide. This is what I take, for better or for worse. These are my medical prescriptions. They're legally prescribed by a doctor. I just don't get them at this moment, but they're legally prescribed. Anyway, I wanted to put this video out there after a lot of hesitations, like I said, because this is a very personal matter and I know there's going to be a lot of negativity and hatred out there on the internet, but I'm not doing this for me. Why am I putting it all out there on the internet? Because maybe there's other people that are going through the same thing and maybe 2 voices are better than 1, 3 voices are better than 2, 4 voices better than 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever that may be. I'm just thinking that maybe it's happening to somebody else. So if it is, then maybe we need to figure out what this company's doing. So this is Collingwood Safeway Pharmacy here in Edmonton, Alberta. Thank you so much for listening to this whole video. If you are all the way at the end here. And yeah, that's my issue with the pharmacy for the last several months. This is how I was banned from a pharmacy. And I still don't know why. Not really. Alright, so I will finish here, and I hope to see you in my next videos. Thanks so much. Have a good day.